Hi. Just as a preamble, I'd like to point out that there are going to be toasts during this sermon, so I invite you to pour a drink of whatever it is you want so that you're ready for the toasts. It's Carsonby United Church's anniversary service. Tom and I took a walk through the church, and I'm going to show you a few pictures now. Even if you don't go to this church, I think you'll find it enjoyable because it's really interesting to see other churches. Look at this wee church, nestled back a bit from the road with huge trees all around, trees planted around the time of Canada's centennial. The trees create a wee oasis, a place where one's heart can be stilled and full of peace. The lawn at the back of the church got used to having tents pitched in on it once a year for many vacation Bible schools, where it was common for more than 80 kids to join together for fun and learning about God. The lawn at the front of the church has seen quite a few chicken barbecues and fish fries, where lots of people in the community gather together to chat and eat and catch up on one another's news. People used to pass right by the lawn to go into the church and wait in the pews for a delicious turkey supper. As we travel closer to the front of the church and gaze up, oh look, it says CMC AD. What in the world does this mean? In 1884, the people of Carsonby felt moved to build their own church. As one story goes, a passerby asked someone working on the church sign what CMC AD meant. The fellow answered with prominent last names of the area: Craigs, Moffats, Carsons, all devils. And this became such a joke that we continue to laugh about this today. Okay, you want to know what CMC AD actually means? It means Carsonby Methodist Church AD, and it was erected in 1884. So right now is our 136th anniversary. And of course, Carsonby Methodist Church became Carsonby United in 1925. Now we're going to slip into the side door and come face to face with the well-used kitchen, which is an awesome place to hang out, and then we'll turn right into the hall. This corner is where the Sunday school meets. They do lots of fantastic crafts. The craft supplies are still out, left right there since March, as if the kids are coming back next Sunday. Here is the sign in front of the kitchen from our last Carsonby Cafe, where we offer homemade soup, buns, desserts to anyone who comes through the doors on our lunch days. It's like this happened last week. The money we raise from this lunch goes to those in need, and the conversations that happen in this place are priceless, for they connect people together and sustain people emotionally and spiritually. See, our church is closed so quickly, we weren't sure the last time we met that we'd be out for so long. The picture of Waliu from Ghana is a picture of the fellow the United Church women are supporting. I wonder how he and his family are doing now. Okay, here we are in the sanctuary, a cute wee sanctuary that regularly fits 80 easily, but it only fits 12 people plus a minister plus a pianist if we were to be in person right now. You want to know my favorite part of the sanctuary? I mean, who wouldn't love the cushions on the pew seats? The piano adds a lot to our worship. There are many lovely stained glass windows, and it's really worth spending time to enjoy them. The wooden ceiling reminds me of being inside a ship. There are various things around that people have purchased in memory of loved ones, and all this is simply wonderful and so very important. The thing I like most about this sanctuary, besides the people that come here, are the words at the front. In this house, there is one greater than the temple. And there it is, the whole reason for being, God. This whole place is here because of God, because we want to know God and worship God and come close to God and for God to come close to us. And this building, like other churches, is a beacon and testimony of the faithfulness of those who have gone before us. And this church, like other churches you know, will welcome us back with open doors when the time comes for COVID-19 to be over and done with. Even though it seems like it's taking forever, and you know, I really wish the people were back here, and I'm missing everyone. And Paul said in 2 Timothy, I long to see you so that I may be filled with joy. And in John 1 verse 12, it is written, I hope to visit you and talk with you face to face so that our joy might be complete. And it's...
Deep breath, Carolyn.
Deep breath. Okay. Right now, I invite you all to take your drink and hold it. Now I'm going to make a toast to God who loves us incredibly, who loves each one of us and cares for every single detail of our lives. To God. Now, why in the world does God want us to come together in churches? The answer to this lies in John 15, so that God's joy might be complete in each of us. God's joy. What does joy mean? Oh, I bet it means a good joke. We tell good jokes at Carsonby. Okay, let me just tell you one. Okay, a kindergarten teacher pre-COVID-19 was walking around and she was seeing what the kids were drawing, and she walked up to one little girl and said, "What are you drawing?" And the little girl said, "Well, I'm drawing God." And the teacher said, but sweetie, we don't know what God looks like." And the little girl said, "Well, soon we will." What do you think that picture looked like? I've had a stab at what it might look like, and see, I have this wonderful looking group of tall and short stick people. They're all holding hands in a circle because they care for one another, and the circle is because each person with their unique talents is equally important. Two people have their arms around someone who is on their knees with their head bowed. We don't know why they need help, but this person in need is being supported and cared for. Two people in the circle have let go of their hands and are reaching for someone else who is a bit shy but is now feeling welcomed. And there is a light streaming down on each person. That is the presence of God giving these people strength to be a loving and kind community. Those of you who aren't so familiar with Carsonby United won't know that Carsonby United is a small church with a huge open heart. Those who come through the doors feel immediately like they're part of the family. God can look like this, like a loving and kind church community that supports and cares for one another. At each moment, the picture of God can change because life changes, and we are in a continual state of helping one another and being helped, teaching one another and being taught. Oh, this reminds me of another joke. There was a woman and she was walking down the street, and it was holiday time, and she noticed an interesting sight. There was a youngish boy, and he was standing there with a kind of thin old coat and sneakers, even though there was snow around, and he was looking wistfully with his brown eyes into the store window where there were boots and coats. And the woman took one more glance and she said, "Come on," and she went into the store with this boy and she bought him boots and a coat and warm pants as part of a snowsuit, and a hat. And oh, the boy was so excited. And on the way out, he looked up at her and he said, "Are you God, ma'am?" And she said, "No, I'm just a child of God." And the boy looked back at her and said, "I knew you must be a relative of God." To be a relative of God means that we're in relationship with God. Seems obvious, right? God takes us on the adventure of a lifetime because We never know quite where loving God and loving our fellow human beings is going to lead us next. It's an adventure where we learn and practice giving and receiving God's love in church, where we are also nurtured and supported so that we can then go out from the church and show God's love in the world around. Carsonby United Church donates thousands of dollars every single year to help people in need. They donate to the Mission and Service Fund as well as donate to local charities. So they're helping, throughout the years, they've helped countless people, both far away who they've never seen and close by, some people that we have seen. So here's another toast, and it's for Carsonby United Church. For God's care and love that you've shared throughout the generations, and for God's care and love that you still hold today, may God's love continually flow through all at Carsonby United so that we may continue to help those in need. To Carsonby. But back to the word joy, which I got away from when I started telling jokes. What is God's joy? God's joy comes to us as a gift from God when we are trying to be part of God's family. That is, when we are in relationship with God that is dynamic and life-giving. The best way I know of to describe God's joy is that God's joy is like the pure, delightful love that God has for us, bubbling up and through us. Joy lifts our spirits and takes away sadness. There's no room for fear or for negativity when joy creeps into our lives. There's a sort of completeness to joy that says this is the way life is meant to be. There's also an element of peace with joy because there's a contentedness of the heart. Life is good here and now, and it is good because we are standing on the firm, solid presence of God, who has the power to help us through everything that life throws at us. For most people, it takes a God-loving community around them to help them not only stay focused on God throughout the trials of life, but also to deepen their relationship with God so that they can give and receive God's love and joy and peace. We experience God in and through community, whether online or in person, and that brings each of us a deeper and more meaningful life. So here's another toast, and this toast I'm giving to all of you. May each of you deepen your love of God in this coming year. May you experience the help and strength of our living God. May you find support in a caring community wherever you are and whatever your situation. To us and God together. And one final joke for now, because I couldn't resist. Did you know they had cars in Jesus' time? Yup, the Bible says the disciples were all of one accord. And in one accord, let us bow our heads in prayer. God, you have the ability to knit us into a people who live out your love. When we turn to you, help us to continue to love with your love and to keep on loving so that we might feel the joy of your presence. Amen.